Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Creatives Talk. My name is Shanae Miles, and I am so excited to have the co founders of Creative Junkfood on. So, let me introduce them. Let's welcome to our Creative Talk Candice and Nabi. Thank you guys so much for joining. How are you all?
Hey,
Doing
hey,
well.
yeah, you're doing
Doing well.
good.
Good, good, good. We're so excited to have you on there. And everyone, I want to just throw something out here really quick. So all of our graphics and even the intro that you just saw, these guys created. So I'm so excited about interviewing them today. They provided Project Create with some awesome collateral. So this is a very exciting interview. Thank you guys again for joining. Can you all tell us a little bit about yourselves? I don't know. I don't mind who goes first, but
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I'm Candice. I'm a DC native, born and raised. A lifelong artist. Feel like I define myself as a visual artist, a community artist. I feel like I do art for the people. I love bowling. I love the beach, and I drink a lot of water. You know, yeah, some fun facts, right?
Yeah. And I'm Nabi, and yeah, I consider myself like an artist, creative. Like I like to just get my hands on new mediums. I like work that has impact. Work that means something. And I just like to be creative. I mean, I've been playing the ukulele for like a year now. Just another form of creativity, and just like to drink water. Yeah.
awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. I want to. This has nothing to do with the interview, but Nabi, when you say you said you're playing, you did you just start playing the ukulele?
Yeah, I just started playing like last year.
Awesome, awesome. I when you said that, it reminded me of I went to a Boys to Men's concert recently,
Mhm.
and I believe it was Sean. Sean. So they were at the MGM, and Sean just had this Gibson guitar, and he just was playing like he was playing for years. And they were saying how during the pandemic they took a period of time just to kind of expand what they do. So they were literally doing cover songs, like recent cover songs, and Sean was like playing the guitar like he was playing it forever.
Yeah,
And so when you said that, it just reminded me of that thought of, when you're an artist and you're creative, you're just going to find anything to get creative with. So
yeah, for
thank you
sure.
for sharing that.
Yeah.
um how did you all discover your love for art?
Oh, man, I don't know. I mean, for me, I feel like I've been drawn on walls all my life. I used to, I was that kid. I used to mark up my cousin's walls in her apartment. She used to watch me. Dad had to paint over it. For a while, I've always like, I just need to be drawn on somebody's walls. I feel like I got introduced to art and to painting and kind of doing that pretty early. And then, got lucky enough to go to Duke Ellington and really kind of hone in that craft. So I feel like it was really fundamentally, I think, kind of in me. But I'm definitely grateful that, I had some pathways to really kind of massage those muscles and tap in.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah, and for me, it was also a compulsion. Like I was constantly like drawing in my notebooks. I went to like an Arabic immersion school when I was younger, so we were supposed to be like whenever we were supposed to be writing Arabic in these notebooks, I'd be drawing cartoons and like I would always get the little Disney magazines, and I never traced. I would always like draw what I saw, and then I would always get in trouble too. So it just became a compulsion. Like even when I was at my day job, my whole cubicle was just thumbnails and drawings on the whiteboard, and so it was just a compulsion. So I was just like, well, I'm clearly going to keep doing this, whether or not I get paid for it or not. So yeah,
Awesome. And isn't that funny how sometimes, like, when you're young and even as you get older, a lot of times people see art as like, they don't see it as something that you can actually make a career out of, or that can make you money. That's really what the biggest thing is. Can this make me money? And so what happens is, even at a young age, sometimes people who are not creative and artistic, they look at it as wrong instead of really pouring into, oh, this person may really have a passion for this. I can definitely relate to that. I remember I was the one, and I don't draw as much now, but when I was younger, I used to draw a lot, and all I used to do was doodle. You would look at my notepad; it was just filled with doodles and drawing stars and my name in bubble letters, and um, that's how I could create. And like every time I would get turn in an assignment, it had doodles all over it.
Yeah.
And I really wish that I had an opportunity to foster the visual artist in me. Um, but of course, like I said, I got older and I got out of it. But if I had someone to push me and say, hey, you might have a skill. I used to design tennis shoes and all that stuff. And so I really wish I would have pursued it. That's why I really admire visual artists, and I admire when you all pursue it despite what people say and really get into it. And that kind of leads me to my next question. What event or person inspired you to become an artist?
Oh,
An
man.
event or person?
Yeah, I don't know if it was a specific event or, I mean, I don't know. For me, I feel like it was just a combination of things. I feel like I remember seeing the first time I connected with like a piece of public art. It was Community Rhythms, and it was this mural that was in the U Street Cardozo subway station. It used to like line the wall as you come down, and because I grew up, over on V Street, so I, was down and going down that all the time. And I remember like one day actually just kind of looking over. It had been there for like it had been there for a while, whatever. I just finally kind of looked over and noticed it, and I remember just being taken aback. And then I remember every time I go, I would just walk really slow through that corridor, just kind of looking at it and taking it in over and over every time. And I feel like that just kind of made it seem like, I'm like this guy here, right? And then I kind of could take notice to other things happening, around the city, other murals of art. And then it took, I think he was just fortunate enough to, go to Duke Ellington. I didn't even know Duke Ellington existed. And, my mom was like, this is school, art, you got to go. And, I did it. And I mean, thank goodness. Right. So I feel like it was just that combination of, wow, seeing this thing. And then all of a sudden, like, yo, I can go to school and do this. Like, that was amazing.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, well, there's obviously more. So,
yeah.
It's interesting hearing that, because growing up in like Southeast where I grew up, which is like just past Congress Heights, there weren't a lot of public art displays going on. And I feel like to some extent, maybe that stunted me a little bit as an artist, because we weren't really going across the river like that. I mean, there was some stuff in Anacostia, but there wasn't much in Anacostia either. I think for me, it was more of when I feel like I committed to being an artist, and like when I felt it was the right path. Because for me, even going to Ellington, I didn't know what art had in store for me. I wasn't sure, am I a painter? Am I a drawer? And then like I think I really found my commitment through illustration and kind of the art of that within it. And so it really wasn't until I think after high school exposed me to it, but I think my college years like reaffirmed it for me that there was something to do with it. And the combination of all that affected me. But I think it just really all came together for me like my last couple of years of college probably.
Awesome. And that leads me to my next question. What schools did you all go to? So I heard Candice mention she went to Duke Ellington. Candice, after Duke Ellington, where did you go? And Nabi, what college did you go to?
Yeah. I mean, we both went to Duke Ellington. That's where we met. And we've been friends there that long. But after Duke, I went to Virginia Commonwealth University. So I studied communication arts. That was a combination of illustration and graphic design, painting, and just sort of like studying communication, storytelling through art. And it allowed me to tap into a lot of different areas of art. So I wasn't just, I got to do a bit of photography, a bit of design, a bit of painting, a bit of all of these things. And I feel like that really reinforced like the Duke Ellington model, which allowed us as artists to do all of those different things. And
Yeah.
so for me, I was just like, well, I just needed to continue that, right? I wanted to keep doing all of those different things. I had spent so much time in all of these different areas. I didn't see why I wouldn't continue to do such.
Awesome.
What was the? I don't know why it's on now. I just kind of got caught up in what she was saying. I was just like,
Which college did you attend?
okay, yeah. So I went to Temple Tyler School of Art, and I studied graphic design. Initially started off as a print designer, but then and that's the magazines, posters, types of projects. And then I transitioned to a digital portfolio like the end of my junior year. So that meant that I started doing like animation work, websites, and I forget what there was. I felt like there's another component to it, but yeah, and then kind of honing more into my like illustration within that. So that was like a real exploratory period for me.
Awesome. Did you so of course you all naturally possessed some artistic skills, but what was the benefit of, at least for you, for being able to go to college and learn? Because there's some people, they're just naturally talented. And so they feel like, okay, I don't need school. But what was the benefit for you for going to school? And why would you advise someone to go to school?
I feel like I have mixed feelings. So I don't know that I specifically say, hey, go to school. I mean, it's not for everybody. It simply isn't. And I recognize that. But I think for me, I needed it. I know that I needed it because it helped like this passion that I had for me. I needed to give it a bit more structure. I needed it to, have a bit more foundation and to understand a bit more background. And I think that just kind of was for me. I wanted to study more, and I knew that, that through college and just through like just that applies kind of coursework. And in doing that, it would just kind of reinforce that, I think. And having kind of done all of that in high school too, I knew I was just like, oh, I enjoy this. And I mean, I was still in a learning space. I knew I was like, I'm still, I haven't figured it out yet. I still feel like that some days, but like I just knew at that point I definitely hadn't figured it out. And so it was, the right place for me. It was the right space. It gave me kind of what I needed to figure it out.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, I honestly like I agree with Candice. Like the traditional college route isn't for everybody. But kind of thinking back to the time that we went to school too, there weren't as many online learning platforms to do this stuff. There weren't as many just resources like YouTube videos of people teaching you. So like, I mean, I feel like Ellington definitely, like the effect of going to Duke Ellington, I really felt once I went to art school in college. Like we were already kind of past some foundational things. So if anything, yeah, it was like being exposed to mediums that I probably would not have touched prior to, but then also being around people who were doing great work that inspired me to do it as well. And these people being my peers, so they're right there for you to ask a question or a little friendly competition with. Everybody's kind of striving for something. So I think just putting yourself in that arena helps motivate you, whereas it might be difficult even today if you try and do it on your own, because it does help to see other people doing it. And if you can get a few minutes with them to ask them how they're doing it, it can immensely help you. It could be something you use for the next 20 years, so yeah.
Awesome. And so you went to high school to do this type of work, then you went to college. When did you decide to say, okay, I want to make this a full-time career? When was that? While you were in college? Was that after? I mean, of course, after college, people are thinking about what they're going to do with their life now that they got their degree. But when did you all decide to make it a full-time career?
Well, we started Creative Junkfood is 12 years old. So, when we started, right after college, we had careers, right? We got jobs. He was doing web development and stuff. I was a graphic designer and doing print production, art direction. So, we had jobs, and typically those were the kind of jobs you move up. We were moving up and growing a career. So we kind of were going that route. We started Creative Junkfood sort of so we could do passion projects. Like I said, we didn't want to do just the kind of one thing. So Creative Junkfood was our way to do those other things and, not necessarily, not do it for free, but still, we got to really be choosy because that wasn't our full-time job. So we got to be super selective on the type of projects we did, and we got to take our time. And so, for us having like careers outside of it really gave us the foundation and gave us the room to really experiment and to see what we even wanted to do or what types of work and projects would allow for us to now, be full-time with Creative Junkfood, because initially we started out doing music videos, and that was not it. So we but at one point that was it. So
but there were like a lot of learning lessons in those, like in our first 2 years that we went through, whether it was dealing with clientele to a certain degree, to finding out what breaks an animation program, or what, like, just a lot of the real like pain happened in those first 2.5 years, that like I'm glad it happened at a time where we weren't like so predicated on it's this or nothing else, like it wasn't our only thing. But put it all together, and a few years later, and was just like, well, this looks like a way to go.
Yeah, like I said, it was about 6-7 years in before we got to that point where we decided, okay, we're ready, the business is ready, we have a framework of what we're doing that we think given our full-time effort will sustain.
Was it scary making that transition from, of course, like I said, you have your full-time thing and you do your business and it's a side project. But now it's like, okay, well, the side project, it looks like it's expanding. So I think it's time to transition. Was it scary for you all making that transition, and how did you navigate that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
I always say it's only scary when you look down. But
I mean, I think for me, I don't know. I just where I was career-wise, I was kind of like, oh man, I see like the ceiling, and I was just like, oh, that can't be it. And so I, was really kind of contending with, whether to put myself in a position that I didn't necessarily see the next step up or the next step, and maybe, it could have been just kind of where I was, a lot of different factors, but at that time I just simply didn't see it. And we had this kind of thing, and it's a lot of effort. You go to work 8 hours, then you come home and you do Creative Junkfood for another 8 hours. That's it's a lot of hours. And so it did kind of get to the point where it's just like, okay, I needed to either commit to this career and give my effort so I could go ahead and move up and do whatever that looked like, or commit to this, but both wasn't going to sustain. We definitely took breaks. I mean, burnout is real. So it kind of just reached a point where it's kind of like, okay, what are we going to do with it? And I think for me, it was just kind of like, I wanted to give it a chance. Like I needed to see it through. Like, okay, great. I built this career enough so I could go back to it. I can fall back on it. I felt like I had something where if all else fails, I could find my way again. But it was worth it to me to see this through. So
and I think on that note, the interesting thing about people of our like generation, or like our sort of, I'll say like our age group, is right around like age 30. I felt like a lot of us were like, what are we doing? Is this fulfilling us? Should I take a chance and do it now? Because, as she said, like the worst I can do is what I was doing well already. And so it's just a time. And, also we graduated during the recession. So we saw how kind of fickle the system, quote unquote, was. And, take a chance on yourself at a time when you still have your vitality and, some youth on your side, if you can, with all those skills you've developed.
Yeah, that was a part of it, right? Do it now, right? I couldn't see, doing this, nights and weekends for another 10 years and then be deciding, I'm like, this, wasn't, just where we were personally, professionally, just like it fit.
And she resigned from her job before I did. I don't know if it was like 6 months.
Yeah, it was like 6 months, 6-7 months.
Yeah, and then she was just like, "Come on, Nabi, what you doing?" So I was just like, I'd actually written my resignation letter like 4 months before I actually submitted it. So I had to see it, just even mentally seeing that, it's just like, yeah, what am I waiting for? So
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally understand. I mean, of course, I still have my 9 to 5, and I do projects on the side. But even just making my transition to Project Create, I was working in the government agency, and being a creative, I was very restricted, and it's hard for creatives to have restrictions. And when the opportunity came for me to switch to Project Create, I was like, I don't know about this. I'm in the government, and everybody tells you, at least are the baby boomers tell you, that you should keep your government job because it's stability. And like as you said, Nabi, this generation, we're a little bit different. We're more willing to take risk. We're more willing to step out. I just see someone posted that is a faith move. Yeah, so we're more willing to step out, take risk, and step out on faith.
and
And
Shanae,
yes,
I want to say something. Sorry to interrupt,
oh
but
no,
I
go
want
ahead.
to say something because it's not always so black and white of
Yeah,
like, hey, get out there and be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is hard as and
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say any language that's flagrant on here, but it is hard. It's like it is so hard to do, and it's not all the things that you don't have. You have to become. You have to become project manager. You got to become client facing. You got to be the executor, the technician, all this stuff, and with that said, there is a concept of the entrepreneur and the intrapreneur, right? Not everybody is meant to be the entrepreneur. So for some people wondering if they should quit their job, maybe it's not necessarily that you quit a job, having a job. Maybe you find a place where you can get fulfillment and actually own a part of a task, because there's just so many levels to it. It's the mindset and the responsibility and fulfillment you have within your work.
Absolutely. No, I agree 100%. Everybody cannot handle being able to step out on their own, because it is hard. Like you said, you do have to, like when you come from an establishment, when you have people doing certain things that you don't have to do and you just do your one task, and then you switch to entrepreneurship and now you have to do everything. You can't just be the creative. You also have to be the business person, the accountant. Oh no, I totally understand. And so it's a scary move, and you really got to say, are you prepared to do this? What would you say? And I know I'm going a little bit off of some of our questions, but this is really great. What would you say to what are some key elements or key characteristics that a person needs to have to be an entrepreneur?
I think you got to have some grit to you, that passion and perseverance. You got to be willing to take a punch and get right back up. I say that's one thing.
Yeah, definitely. Like, be prepared to find your audience for whatever it is you're doing, right? Or to find your space and, be, malleable, be open to changing and evolution. I feel like, what I imagined, it would be, CJ, what we were doing, a few years ago is not. And even looking ahead, we're, in this kind of a growth phase, and the type of work in terms of experiences, all of this stuff that we're doing now is not things we never even talked about when we started. We never even talked about doing any of this stuff, thinking about Creative Junkfood, and that was for years. And now all of a sudden, this integral part of how we see ourselves manifesting. So I would just say, it's that kind of, okay, have an idea, set your framework. But I think it's really important just to be flexible and to be really, adaptable, and to withstand critique. Like, not everybody's gonna like everything you do, and that is okay. And do not, don't stop doing it. Just that's not your audience, and that's cool.
Yeah, and I mean, kind of building on that too. If you're the type of person who is, like kind of like she said, if you're always kind of thinking up ideas, right, that you want to execute, or that maybe you're at a place where those ideas are not welcome as much, or you don't get to expound on those, but you find yourself continuing to do them, and you find yourself doing stuff outside of your say your day job or your normal responsibilities that you're doing for practically free, basically, you might want to think about an entrepreneurial endeavor in that, And then also like, and if you're not thinking of it, but you like, maybe I want to explore entrepreneurship, think about, possible ways of being of service to people that may lend themselves to a business model that, you may like, you know, cooking for people, right? Like, but and what you're doing in your day job is fulfilling, but you're cooking for people all the time for free. Maybe you want to start making some type of snack or maybe you want to do your own restaurant, possibly. Those are things to potentially explore.
Yeah, and I think even when it's not necessarily practical for everybody to just full out I'm gonna dive into some passion or whatever. I think it's important about taking those steps and being cool with or being open to kind of those bits and those pieces that lead themselves to the bigger picture. A lot of times it's like, well, I want to cook, but I can't be a chef right now, so I'm not gonna cook. But I'm like, but you can prepare some meals. You can maybe help out, find some caterer that you love and help out, tag along, learn, be fulfilled, doing that thing, make some money on the side still, So I feel like there's ways to kind of, connect. We have contractors who work with us who, some of them are like, I like to draw and I want to draw this piece. We might put you on this part of a project. And then that's it. That's the thing you want to do. Ooh, come and just do that thing, learn, and then that's and leave with what you leave with. Like we, even our model for how we, bring people in and for folks to work with us, we definitely we want to put you where you want to be, and I feel like there are a lot of opportunities to create those spaces, for ourselves or with other people, and people aren't just aren't looking, so it's just to kind of put it out there, lend that service, offer it up and put yourself in the environment.
Awesome. Thank you. As you all, like I said, start transitioning to your, to having your own or running your business full time, did you all have mentors or people that you, that assisted you, or you just kind of just jumped into doing?
I think as when you go through life, you pass through a lot of people who may be mentors by other names, maybe not directly, hey, can you mentor me? But you pass through people who nourished a part of you and probably gave you some confidence to do what you do. And then I also say that even so, for example, you can read a biography on somebody who you greatly admire, and the story of that person and the lessons you get is mentorship. So I would say, for sure. And in a number of different ways, not just friends and family, not just, professors or elders in the community, but, just even mentorship through the books that I read, of people who also had to do hard things.
Yeah, that's what I would agree. It's through if somebody just doing experience on this piece and experience on that piece. And, you're not here to be my mentor, but I am learning from you. I am absorbing something. We are kind of, having that dialogue, and I could take something of that, and that's going to help me, now or later. And so I just feel like there's a lot of opportunities, whether it be one person specific.
I mean, I think we live in an age now where, like you said, Nabi and Candice, we don't have to have one person. We have the worldwide net, the internet. And so you can go on YouTube, or like I said, you can get a book, whether it's a physical copy or an ebook. And you can gain and glean so much information. So much is at just a touch of a finger. I was recently looking at printing, and I was watching somebody's vlog on YouTube. So we have so much information where mentor specifically is not necessarily needed, but you can learn anything that you have a desire to learn. You can just go online and learn. In fact, the guy Sean from Boys II Men, he said that he literally learned how to play the guitar by watching videos on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I've been doing the ukulele, as they say in Hawaii. That's how I started learning it. And I guess also kind of coming back to the mentorship, I would say there were specific instances that gave me confidence in the idea of entrepreneurship. When I was younger, going to school in Southeast, there was a guy named Ali Khan, and he's like, here, I'm going to give you all these cookies. I want you to go out and get orders, and then you got to come back and fulfill these orders. And that was something. And he's like, I'll give you anybody in here $100 if you can spell entrepreneurship. And nobody could spell it. And he knew nobody could spell it. So he always kept his $100. But I never forgot that word after that, And then, just other people in the community seeing them dare to do entrepreneurship. The idea wasn't that scary. But then obviously once you get on that roller coaster and you start clicking up, it gets a little more real.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. So now I want to know what's the origins of Creative Junkfood? I heard that you met in Duke Ellington, and you had a part-time, you did it part-time. How did it get started? And I want to know everything. Where did the name come from? Was there a name before Creative Junkfood? How did you all start this?
So this is so it kind of goes back to in 2000, in like the fall of 2009. I was doing a music video for my brother with this artist. My brother, he's a music producer, AB the Pro, or it goes by Aleem Bilal now, and he's doing a record for a guy named Uptown XO. And he said, "Hey man, could you do this video for me?" And I wanted to do an animated video for my senior thesis in college, and they wouldn't let me. They're like, "You could do that when you graduate. You got to do this other project now." So he's just like, "Yeah, hey, just do it." My brother said, "Hey, just do it." He gave me like $750 to do it. He's like, I just think if you do it, people are just going to come to you for this. And so did it. And then afterwards, just like, oh, this could be something. Now just like, yo, like, I wonder what Candice is up to. Like, we should try and do something like this. And like, Candice was always such a great artist. And I was like, man, it'd be dope if she'd be down for this too. And I hit her up. It's like, hey, let's do something. And she was like, yeah, I see what you're doing. I'm down to.
Yeah, that's what it was. I was definitely like down to just come on and see what it was about. And actually, like there's a growing to Creative Junkfood, right? So when we started, I guess in respect, there were 4 of us.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just us, and we were grinding, and we love you, Thomas. Shout out to you, Andrea. We love him, but it was just that. It was like us, and we were just kind of like, yo, we could do a thing, and it was fun. And somebody else was like, hey, can you do a video? We were like, sure.
Yeah.
And could we? I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
We dared to do it. We dared to do it. I mean, hot garage, fuses blown, no airflow, we sweating.
Our first video was official videos Creative Junkfood was a Raheem Devon video, and like Cornel West showed up, and it was at our partner Thomas's in his space, and there was like no AC. It was like middle of summertime, and like everything was blowing out, all the fuses were blowing down, and we thought we were gonna get one video, and it was just like, oh, we can't even use any of this footage. We're gonna have to draw over everything. And it was like, it was so many things.
Yeah, it was just so many things, and I think but just that experience, right? And after it, I mean, because that experience was, it was hot, and then during the process, there were so many hours. I mean, my goodness, that thing. Yeah. It was some miserable evenings for sure. Yeah. But after it was done, I was just like, I want to do another. And what I'm saying, let's go. Let's do it again. And so I was like, oh, okay. Because the energy, I was just like, oh, okay, what I'm saying, I appreciated that. And I did like our product. I was excited about what we were able to accomplish, like especially knowing all the struggle we went through. I'm like, oh, and we did it still. That was amazing. So it's like, oh, I know we got this. I know we can do more. So yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess, and you asked about like the name and all that too.
Mm-hmm.
So all right, so even before we did the Raheem video, so we were like, what do we call ourselves? It was like Creative Forces, like all these like kind of generic creative names. They're like, no, we gotta be something different. And they're just like, oh, like, so I have a thing where like I just love naming things, like, and I love the way that a word can come out of your mouth and how you can remember it and whatnot. And so we were all thinking of names of what to do, and then it's just like, oh, what about Creative Junkies? And then like
I feel like I was like, nah.
I feel like everybody at that. It was just like, oh, but there was this company out in there's this video company called Funny Garbage, and I'm like, well, if they could put something like that together, then maybe we could be like Creative Junkfood. And then it was just like,
when you said it, I was just like, okay.
It was like,
you said it in the set, and I said, okay,
right,
all right, that one didn't hurt.
Everybody's just like, okay, cool. Like nobody's like, that's a dumb idea. Like,
okay. boom, sign the papers.
Yeah. So it's just like, even, so even if people are thinking about their company name, I'm like laughing myself to tears here just because I remember that stuff. But like, the name you come up with is just as important as the look of your logo. Like, it's branding. It's all in branding. It's all making somebody remember you and what you're known for. And then, of course, Candice is like the logo extraordinaire. So like we set out to make something. I feel like we both kind of arrived at something similar at the same time. I was like, what do you think about this shape?
Yeah, I feel like, he sent me a bunch of references that he was looking at. He was like, I don't know what to do with it, but I like all these shapes. And I was like, all right, cool. I mean, let me spend some time with it and see what I can do with that.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, even that was collaborative. And I think it just, it helped. I feel like, our relationship and just kind of the energy we already had being friends for years. And, so it's really like a vibe that we kind of wanted to create. And it just, the name lends itself to it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, the name is awesome. The logo is awesome. I mean, it fits you all. I mean, even though some of the work that I've seen you all produce, it really, it all across the board, you all have consistency in your brand. And that's a cool name. Like, so I'm glad that you all thought about it. I would have never thought to say, my initial thought was maybe they like junk food. So they just,
Yeah, that's it. Everybody thinks, we are food. Like, oh, okay. What do y'all make? Is it cookies? Is it cake?
Yeah.
Yes.
The great thing about it is just like, let's just go off topic completely.
Yes. My next question is, what is Creative Junkfood? I know you all talked a little bit about some of the stuff you did, but just as a whole, how would you define your organization, and what type of projects do you like to focus on?
Organization. So, we define ourselves as a creative studio, and we do that's video production, that's animation, that's creative direction. We're doing a lot of like creative direction. Recently we do kind of public art and installations and sort of kind of those interactive art engagements. We host workshops, and we teach, we do web and sort of just graphic design, be it print, digital, social media. However, we get, we do animation stuff for film. So we're doing, stuff with movies and what have you. So we just kind of, in terms of what we are capable of, it's kind of the multitude. And that's why we just kind of find ourselves as that creative studio. We just say we make it art, and whatever that it is, we leave that open to interpretation.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I have 3 projects that I actually want to show that you all have worked on. The first one was this mural. Candice, can you tell us a little bit, or Candice and Nabi, can you tell us a little bit about this mural?
Yeah, so that's the Crown Act mural. Completed that piece last summer. And that was a Murals DC project, Murals DC and the Commission on the Arts. And so that was in record celebrating the Crown Act. That was the 2nd anniversary in terms of when the legislation was initially signed. And so this piece is, it celebrates, Black hair, Black beauty, Black joy. And this was just a lot of fun to really kind of, explore, celebrating, just Black abundance, and, getting to put it just up on a wall, and it, being very specific, to the audience and, what it represented. But also, that was a controversial space in the neighborhood. So it was nice to put something up in the neighborhood that could also be reflective of the neighborhood, right? And some of the, the beautiful Black women who, live and work and, thrive there. So that was, how that piece came to be. It was a fun
2
project.
weeks to get it done, or was it a week?
Oh man, we had like a week to get that done. I mean, we had 2 weeks, but it was like a lot of scheduling. Like we had a lift, that thing was broke down for like 3 days, so that didn't work. And I was having all types of issues with the sprayer, so that wasn't working. It was the heat wave, and then we had like a torrential rain thing happening. It was a lot. In terms of like just that was a long. It was like I feel like a week and a half, and it was a long one.
Yeah.
And we were trying, we were up against the deadline, but proud of the work, and we you know, when Nabi and I, we get out there and I don't know, we just go at it. And yeah, we go at it with the walls. But that was a fun one. Proud of that one.
Yeah, this actually that mural, for those who don't know, it's on the wall of where Busboys and Poets is located. It's right on that wall, and off of MLK, in Southeast. So if you ever get a chance to go check it out, it is beautiful. I actually love this mural, and I remember during summer of last year, our summer camp students, girls came down, and it was when the news came and they were able to be featured on the news. I'll show their pictures. So these are some students from our summer camp last year who was able to come and look at the mural, and they ended up getting featured on the news, which was really exciting for them and, of course, for us. The next project I want to talk about is the Winter Wonderland art installation that you did at the National Harbor in 2022. Can you share a little bit about that?
Oh,
yeah, Winter Wonderlights. Yeah, so that piece, that was, what was that? Actually 2020.
Yeah,
right.
2020,
so that was winter 2020.
December.
That was, you know, our first, I don't know, pandemic winter. Where the harbor, so they weren't going to do the ice rink, of course, because you know, restrictions and all the things, but they still wanted something to kind of engage and activate the space over the winter months.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, they reached out to us. We, you know, something that celebrated winter, you know, without being specific to, you know, any specific holidays, just non-denominational, just winter celebrations. And yeah, so that's how we came up with.
Yeah, and that one was like the lights became a big thing for that one because at the wintertime it's cold, it's dark. And so, you know, we wanted something that could be eye-catching and still kind of give you like this, you know, holiday festive feel without, you know, like you said, going too religious or anything like that. And so they kind of left it open for us to think about what to do. And we're like, oh, we should do light boxes and, you know, put some scenes on them and, you know, line them up around that area there. So, you know, there's a lot of like prep work when it came to just kind of measuring and making sure that they would fill the space like we needed. And, you know, just the fabrication of them and you know, the amount of time that we had to do it. It's funny, you never really get all the deadlines you want. Like everything feels like it's such a crunch as far as the deadline goes.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's what, you know, makes you that's what brings out your best work, because you just gotta, everything, you know, needs to go into this moment right now, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that was a fun one in terms of, you know, that space installation work and sort of just figuring, you know, that out. How do we, you know, do something that, you know, in the day and the night, you know, those pieces were, you know, significant once you were up against them in terms of scale. So it was just, you know, it was a fun way to, you know, command that space, celebrate winter. And it was, I mean, I definitely appreciate the opportunity to, you know, tap into that installation type of work that, you know, we've been wanting to do. And, you know, learn a lot about, you know, stuff outside in winter. And winter's a beast. Winter's a beast.
Yeah, sure is.
Absolutely. And my final project, actually, I really liked this particular one that you all did. It was an interactive music booth that 202 Creates commissioned you to do for the DC Jazz and DC Go-Go. And so actually I have a video that I found on your YouTube page, just a little snippet that I want to show. So I'm going to play it right now.
Yo, this is so cool. You're an artist.
Hit that one behind you.
Oh my God, this is so fucking cool.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And the cool thing about the guy you saw with the hat, he saw me wiring it up, and he's like, "What are you gonna do with this thing?" He was like the guy who, he was like the he was in charge of like all the electronics and everything there. He's like, what's this thing? Is this gonna be any good? So he got to try it out before everybody else. He's just like, I need this for my kid's birthday party. And then unfortunately COVID happened, so you can stop touching stuff.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like we did that, and it was like, oh, cool, touch things, great. It was like COVID. We were like, womp.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, that project was definitely a lot of fun in terms of interactive mural, like the mural work. And maybe one day we'll get back to that or some form of something like that. But yeah, to touch the walls and have the art kind of be interactive in that way. That was we learned a lot, programming, building computers, wiring in Paint and all of that stuff. I mean, every project is just we say yes whether sometimes whether we know what we're going to do or not. And
just kind of go off our interests. I mean, in that one, it was like initially wanted to use that concept to like increase sort of voter awareness or whatnot, kind of use that on not even in that way. And Marianne, who's the director at the time, she's like, we have this thing coming up, can you use that for this? And so the idea was to honor DC jazz and DC go-go. So one booth was go-go sounds, the other was jazz sounds. And like she said, had to wire up some things, do a little bit of programming with the Arduino. And then like I still remember like the night before, like we were like,
it didn't work the night before. Let me just
25th hour. Like, how are we gonna wire this thing up? And we were like,
not come together. And so it was.
And it's so crazy because like say like if you're doing like a website, or you're doing some animation stuff, and something is not working, right? You can go online and find some forums and be like, all right, who dealt with this problem? How'd you solve it? Maybe you'll find something. There was no roadmap for this. It was just like, oh my God,
we're making it up.
We're screwed. We're gonna get this done. And then it was just like alligator clips. Right?
Yeah.
Like alligator clips and screws. Like,
just something. I don't know. Yeah, man. We were just making it together.
Candice was just like, Nabi, this is going to work, right? I was like, Hail Mary. Here
right.
we go. And, it worked. Thankfully. We did everything right up to that point. And then, that was like the last thing. And we were in that studio for like 6 hours just to figure out that little bit. Well, it felt like a little problem now, but it was big at the time. And, it turned out into that effect, which was, such a good feeling to actually see it come to life.
Yeah.
I love it. I don't know if my boss Christy is watching, but Christy, I would love to get something like that. Have Creative Junkfood do something like that at Project Create for a showcase. That would be awesome. I'm all for that immersive experience. That's really cool. And I commend you guys for doing that. But that's what it means to be a creative entrepreneur: is taking those creative risks and not knowing the outcome, not knowing if it's going to work, but being willing to say yes and trying it out. Now that you all know, we can do this. So if you get bigger projects, it's nothing.
Exactly.
That's Christy said, let's do it. All right, you guys, look, you see that? You see Christy said, let's do it.
Yeah, so let's go.
All right. I noticed on your website that you said that you really like to pick projects where the story resonates with you. Why is that? And can you give me an example of a project that had a very impactful story?
Yeah. I think for us, I mean, storytelling, like, in terms of how we, what we studied, how our, even our individual art practices, storytelling is definitely integral. I feel like we are storytellers. And so I think that just helps us. It helps us create pathways to like our, our bigger projects, and in terms of understanding the what and the why we're doing something. And it also helps us to, like understanding the stories, like what is the message, kind of what is that end, what happens after, I think, and having a story for us in our projects just really helps us. I don't know, it just gives us the foundation that we need. So in order to, do create projects that are impactful, you kind of have to know, we are affected by stories all the time. And so it's just like, yeah, right. That's how, the world works. So I feel like, using that as a framework for, our creative process is, it just makes sense to us.
Yeah. As far as like a project goes, I'm thinking of like all our projects really, it's kind of hard, sometimes hard to pick a favorite out of them because we were compelled to do them for different reasons. And I mean, there were narratives in the music videos we did that I really liked, and as of late we've been doing more advocacy, working with more advocacy organizations. So we're kind of starting some of those projects now, and just excited about the the mission and meaning behind that. I don't know. Is there like one?
I don't know if there's one. I just feel like I'm excited about the types of stories we've been able to tell. Like I love, we've been able to tell stories or tell stories that reflect, human experience and, the good and the bad way, right? Just the kind of the pretty parts and the ugly parts. Stories, be able to put stories in our work in terms of our, narrative videos. And stuff, and we kind of make up a story, right? Take characters on journeys. That's something we do in videos, and some of our upcoming projects. We're definitely going to be taking some characters on some journeys. So I think, and even with the our brand work and other stuff, websites work, it's just like finding like the story of a brand or why it really just kind of helps us get to what's going to motivate us to say yes to a project or to see it through. I think having a story, our clients having stories makes us confident, what I'm saying, or it helps us be confident, good clients, good, good, providers and stuff like that.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to drop down to our final question before I actually ask you the surprise question. But the final question is, as co-founders of the business, what roles do each of you play and what elements are necessary for a healthy business partnership?
I mean, I think we're fortunate, right? So, because we've been friends for so long. So coming into this, and we came into it so casually, like we came into it where it's like, well, we get to just kind of decide what that's going to look like. So I have an idea of the type of artist Nabi is, the type of things he likes to do. He sort of had an idea about, what, my capabilities and where I was coming from. And because, like we said, we started off with, being so selective, we got to really decide what type of energy, what type of framework and how, we wanted to blend our skills on projects. So, there are projects that, we handle independently, right? So it's still, Creative Junkfood projects, but, he may or may not be really, doing anything on them. And the same thing for, some of the stuff he handles. And then, there are the bigger, the film things where we're just every step of the way, we're just storyboarding together. We're writing together, we're drawing at the same time, and he might draw something and then I'm going to be the one to animate it, or I draw stuff and then he has to animate it. And so I think, we learn together. That's a part of it too, watching videos, figuring it out. We've done all of that stuff just together. And so when I see, we get a project, I kind of already know, if it's this type of project, okay, so I'm probably gonna be doing more of these types of things, that type of thing. I may be more support role here where, actually I might kind of, do more of the direction in this one. Right. Yeah, and
it's just kind of knowing that too, where it's just like, if I feel like, oh, all right, well, Candice really wants to take this one on the director side, then I'll like, all right, cool, I'm in a support role, and like vice versa. If it's like, I'll do this part, and all right, well, let me know if you need anything from me on that. And just always being able to step in where help is needed, but then also like giving the other person space to explore their creativity too within the project. I mean,
I think it helps us because we like, Nabi is one of my best friends, so it's it's fortunate that we could chase our dreams together. But I trust him with my dreams, and I trust him with my vision. I trust that he's gonna wake up every day and be just as committed as I am. So I feel like, we just had that type of relationship. It's, we can kind of communicate without communicating sometimes. Some days, we're talking for hours about stuff, and sometimes it's just a quick couple of little emails,
right,
and that's the end of it. Okay, cool. But I mean, it's just, it's just as much energy. We are still just as much in sync. And, aiming for the same things, and kind of, making sure that, our priorities are really aligned in terms of what we, the end goals.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you guys are like a creative married couple,
Yeah,
technically.
something like
Yeah,
that.
right.
Something like that.
Yes, that's I love it. I love it. All right. Well, as we're wrapping up quickly, I wanted to ask you all this question. Now, this is the surprise fun question. If you were a mad scientist, what scientific experiment would you run if money and ethics weren't an issue?
Oh, wait, money and ethics.
Wow.
Oh,
I mean, when you throw ethics out the
yeah, I'm
window,
like, you know, ethics out the window. It's
man.
rap. Like, what? Oh man, no ethics. Oh snap. Um, well, I mean, you know, hopefully I'd still be ethical, right?
Right.
Dang, if I was a mad scientist, ah, man, I don't know, but I feel like it would be something. Hopefully, that's going to lead to like the mass production of, you know, something integral for like humanity, right? So I might be a mad scientist, but I want to experiment on how to, you know, mass, you know, take plants and vegetables and, you know what I'm saying, grow them 20 times the size and have it not be all GMO, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so what is the thing that kind of solves a world problem? And I might do that in a real crazy extreme way, but I feel like at the end of it, I'm trying to solve a world problem, right? And so that way, when I'm cutting corners and I'm doing little, you know what I'm saying, I'm like, it's, you know, my heart is in the right place.
Yeah, I think I would like try to re-engineer food that heals people, like for real. Like if you broke your leg, then all right, you got to eat this. Like you got to eat this food that it's healthy and it heals you too, you know, and like just make food healing. What I would do.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And you know, and I mean, and I know that like it's, you know, opinions are subjective, but like, you know, I feel like for, you know, there are some collective energies around. We don't like certain things or we don't like certain people. And so I feel like, you know, we ain't gonna hurt nobody, but we can definitely find some ways to silence some folks or to, you know, saying keep some people from not moving so much. Just, you know, saying things of that nature, right? Right.
I love it. I love it. And I mean, the cool thing about both of your answers, more so on the food end, is that technically creative junk food would be in the food industry.
Yeah, that would put us. Yes,
our name is a science experiment. It's just couple words together.
Yeah, you know, I think if we started doing that tomorrow, we wouldn't even have to change our name. We could just
easy.
We could just do it.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Sorry we didn't get an opportunity to get questions in, but this was a great conversation. I really appreciate it. And for those who want to stay connected with Creative Junk Food, you can visit their website. It's down below. And you can also follow them on Instagram. And for those who want to continue to see some of these creative talks and stay connected to Project Create, you can visit our website as well. And you can also follow us on Instagram at Project Create DC. Thanks again, Candice and Nabi. This was such an awesome talk. I appreciate you all taking the time, and I hope that our online audience has an awesome evening and an even better weekend. Again, thank you all so much for joining us, and we will see you the next time. Bye.
All right.